Times when it wasn't banned, and in the first 2 games it wasn't banned, but they still moved away from the Kestrel. I think this is their bread and butter, and it gives them such an advantage.
Yeah, I don't like this. Churnwalker needs to be banned because they have every time the team that had Churnwalker has won the game. So why is Ace giving Tribe Churnwalker again when Tribe won with Churnwalker?
That being said, while I agree with you, I think it's too high of a priority. Ace Gaming did give it over to Impunity yesterday, and they beat Impunity with them having the Churnwalker. So they do have plans that they can run versus this pick, and starting with the Black Feather, that could be a dive comp.
Also, the fact that you can see the bans coming out from Ace very clearly targeting T-Tigers. They are afraid of the jungle presence of Tribe's jungler.
Yeah, I mean, well, so much of what Ace does when they get themselves an advantage is that very early game. So it makes sense that they are worried about that early game pressure from T-Tigers and taking away those 2 junglers. Now, where do they want to go with this next pick? Because obviously into the Churnwalker, they want something that can dive.
Yeah, Arden would be the most ideal thing if you're trying to dive. The other option is Lyra. Ace Gaming, unless they're going to want to prioritize the Vox or the Sky to deny it away from the Enzio, most likely will prioritize one of these 2 picks. The Adagio instead.
Yeah, they're denying the dive competition. And plus, Adagio's range is really good in case they want to play the Weapon Sky. Adagio can trade back with the Sky because of his range. And then Blackfeather CP can also poke down the Sky as well.
There's also the fact that while Adagio doesn't dive very well himself, he still helps dive compositions very effectively, because when a Blackfeather dives in, you put the Gift of Fire on him, all of a sudden it's on all of your opponents, and you can start spreading out that damage massively with the Agent of Wrath buff as well.
Yeah, and I think we mentioned before is with Ace Gaming's draft right here, the Blackfeather, the Adagio, this is a very, very flexible draft. They can go with it multiple directions. They can put the Blackfeather in lane. They can put him in the jungle. They can put the Adagio in lane. They can put him in the captain role. So very flexible and leaves Tribe wondering.
I like this draft from Ace because you can't really pick Vox because Adagio and Blackfeather are so good at getting onto him, especially the CP Blackfeather. So Vox is a risky pick, but they may go with the Vox and pick like another hero like a Baptiste or a Reza that can just dive onto the Adagio and delete him, and that's really their win condition with the Churnwalker here.
But do you think they go for a Sky to try and counter out the dive counts? We've seen it obviously work really well against Rona, but can it just work into just general dive compositions? And with Zio's skill on it, I think it could be a possibility.
Tribe are taking so long to decide on this pick. Only 10 seconds left. They're going to go with the Ozo, something that Cloud9 played multiple times in this competition.
This crowd. They love this pick. And then the Kestrel to deny it from Ace. This is an incredible draft.
Yeah, I like the Ozo pick with the Churnwalker. Works really well. It's just so much pressure early on in mid-game. You have so much damage, especially once the Aftershock is picked up by the Ozo. And then later on in the game, you have a lot of AoE damage that is also amplified and shared because of Churnwalker's passive.
Yeah, I wonder now, is Ace going to take Arden or Grace here? Because Grace looks actually pretty solid for the Blackfeather to dive, get onto that Kestrel, get the heal, get the Divine Intervention, the Echo Divine Intervention, and then Blackfeather will be just impossible to kill at that point. And you saw T-Tiger's Blackfeather do so well against Creation's Weapon Kestrel in the last game.
I do like Arden a lot better than Grace right here, just because if you pick him up, you're able to provide the Vanguards to either Adagio and Blackfeather, and later on with the Echo, you have multiple gauntlets that you can throw, and at that point, Ozo, his dive strategy is a lot harder to execute because he will need multiple reflexes.
Oh, it's a Vox!
It's going to be the Adagio captain instead, and Vox heading up into the lane. We've already seen how strong Creation is when he gets that Vox under his play.
Yeah, this is
basically a third damage source. It's unreal.
Absolutely. Here we go.
Game number 4 underway. Still Tribe only 1 game away from match point in the series. Ace managed to get such a gigantic Herculean lead so early on, but this time around, Creation hasn't got his famous Kestrel. Dienzio has decided to pick it up in lane.
And that is really interesting, because Dienzio, during the regular season of the VGA in North America, proved he's quite a good Kestrel as well. He's definitely got a few tricks up his sleeve, and they can look to take that Kestrel level 1, level 2, and be super aggressive. And it's probably why Ace is starting mid to stay away from that aggression and rotate into their jungle.
Does look exactly like that. Youngju basically keeping Max Green low on HP here. Max Green will not be able to facilitate any aggression from his teammates. Something perhaps an Ozo would like to be using at level 2.
I'm not sure how I feel about Captain Adagio, though. It's definitely down there in terms of priority for me as a captain. It really falls off as you go into the late game. Your heal utility is very single target focused. You don't quite have the depth of a Lyra, for instance. And to be honest, Verse of Judgment's really easy to block. You can't use it sneakily. You can't really use it surprising anyone. It's just a very obvious ability.
Another issue, I think that perhaps will plague Ace Gaming as this game goes on, is the lack of CC coming out of the rest of the allies from Ace Gaming. Ozo is going to have free reign to do whatever the hell he wants to, and Tassa is going to be on it.
So much trouble, 3-ring Circus. There's the Acrobout. Had to pop that flask as well pretty early, is forced to use those boots as well. Or in fact, doesn't even have boots. He just got the speed up. But Tribe already on the early aggression. This is what they needed to do in game number 3. Game number 4, they're facilitating that. T-Tiger's actually taken the Elder Treant, but Tassa says not today. On point secures their front buff.
A Kestrel and an Ozo, that is such good early aggression. Ozo, according to Physics, one of the Cloud9 analysts, she thinks Ozo's the best jungler in the game right now. And I'm really looking forward to seeing T-Tigers pilot this, because not many people have picked it up. Cloud9 being really one of the only teams to make it work properly.
If my memory serves me correctly, it was that Ozo coming out from Cloud9 that bested Tribe in their semi-finals yesterday. The only game that Tribe lost to Cloud9 was that. So potentially T-Tigers has come to the light. Luminous has been preaching it.
Come to the circus, you mean? Creation does have the ability to scale into something like a Poison Shiv. It's a very obvious first item choice for the Vox. And Poison Shiv is necessary to shut down Ozo, simply because of his heroic perk. He can heal so much, and you combine that with the Aftershock, the small amount of healing that you get from that. Ozo has got a very good amount of inbuilt sustain in his kit, so this is going to be a really crucial pickup here for Creation.
Already, T-Tigers and Maxgreen moving towards that Elder Treant yet again. Tassa looking to get this steal with the on point. There's the Acrobounce. Tassa actually gets pulled straight in, and Dientio, of all people, actually... Oh no, it was T-Tigers in the end with the last basic attack. I thought he did steal with a Glimmer Shot. Creation paying him a due in the lane, however. And once again, we were seeing the minion candy being used from Tribe and Ace. It's just been so popularized earlier on in the tournament. And right now, they're using it to counter pressure. Creation popping the minion candy on his minions, making sure they push into the turret.
Yeah, and as soon as they're under turret, those minions are going to be pushed straight out. Dientio struggling against this Adagio. In the early game, has a lot of damage potential. We know Ace love to hyper carry a Vox. Well, Adagio can help with that, but it doesn't really do much against this Ozo.
Oh, there's the Acrobounce. But like you mentioned before, actually, the lack of CC won't be able to lock him up, but they should be able to force him away. Dientio was very low, so couldn't actually interfere with that fight whatsoever.
What an Adagio does do, however, and it's something that we really should stress, because obviously Adagio is a bit of an out-there captain pick for Worlds right now, is that he has a good early lane pressure. He can use it on minions to try and put pressure onto the Kestrel specifically. You can then land some pretty hard-hitting basic attacks onto her. It really feels like Youngju has taken this to try and shut down Dientio and push that lane back against what is going to be a very good siege composition, just because it includes the Kestrel.
That's all well and good, but Dientio has a massive CS lead in the lane currently against Creation. 10 CS in a lane where it looks like he's constantly being bullied here. You need to be able to bully Dientio like we saw in Game 3. If you want to put Tribe on a back point, bully Dientio, bully T-Tigers, it's one or the same.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dientio picks up his first item spike here of that Sorrow Blade. Got a minion candy in as well. Really been an item that has seen more and more play over the course of the last few months in pro play. Wave control, the limited amount that you can do in 3v3, it's kind of facilitated by that minion candy.
Oh, double Aftershock finish means a fight is underway. Tassa used that Rose defensive. There's the one-shot, one kill, sending him very low. First blood goes over to the Ozo. T-Tigers using that Bangarang, but Creation did block it with the reflex block.
Yeah, I love the reflex block early coming out of Creation, but Youngju out of possession completely. Tassa going far too deep towards the shop there. Almost face-checked the bush on purpose. It was so unnecessary.
Look at this. The siege is now going to open up. Just been trying to be cheeky, Youngju, keep that large minion alive for a little bit longer, but this is so early into the game that Tassa is able to respawn and get back to lane quickly, and then again, too much of a threat for Tribe to go all in on this turret. The early wave clear from Ace is good. You have the Adagio to apply a dot to the rest of the wave, and then Creation can use the Agent of Wrath to help empower his basic attacks to clear out very quickly.
And what Ace want to do in the long run as well is make sure they can carry on the Korean dynasty that was Phoenix Armada. They want to prove to the world that Korea is the best region. But Tribe right now, they are 2 games up in the series. TSM lost 2-4 against Phoenix Armada last time around, and Tribe not willing to let that one get to their heads.
It has been a titan battle between East Asia and North America over the course of the last few years. It has been 2 Vainglory God regions going up against each other. Last year, East Asia got the better. ROX Armada came in by storm. Tribe are looking to bring the crown back to America.
Bangarang, straight in. Ooh. Nice Rose offensive from Tassa. They're going to pull that minion straight back in. Max Green gets the healing camp as well. Youngju is on the bottom side, does have the flask available, so he could actually move up to go for a small engage, although Youngju and Tassa, there's the acro bounce. That was the longest acro bounce I've ever seen. Tienzio's still going to try to chase this one up. Fountain actually popped from Youngju, but he's completely out of the fight. Tienzio has to get the flash used on him also, but Tassa goes extremely low. 3 ring circles from the Ozo. The crowd erupts as Creation gets tased under turret as well. T-Tigers looking for blood, but Creation a little bit too fast on his feet.
This should be an easy turret take now for Tribe. They have got the health advantage. The Fountain has already been used, and there the siege and turret taking potential of a Kestrel comes to life. How did they get that advantage there, Dowsy?
It's just been dominance in the jungle, where T-Tigers is being completely unmatched here. Dienzio having a CS lead over his counterpart in the lane, whilst right now it doesn't seem like much, and it's starting to whittle down a little bit. Creation had to invest 700 gold into a reflex block early because of the threat that T-Tigers Bangarang is to this Vox, and that's allowed Dienzio to snipe another item, the Tyrant's Monocle. We do finally see the breaking point.
It's the difference in builds that we're seeing between the Kestrels. Creation, a very much breaking point, basic attack, kiting build coming out. Dienzio looks like he's going for El Clasico, the double Tyrant's Monocle after the Sora Blade, the heavy hitting damage, slightly worse on this current update than it was previously, but you do pierce a lot of armor with Glimmer Shot. That was the trade-off. Glimmer Shot used to be more powerful, but now it's more armor piercing.
Hit level 6 on our captains. Trespass, Verse of Judgment. Massive ultimates have been completed. However, Max Green has a Crucible, which means that Verse of Judgment, which you already mentioned, Xscoundrel, is so telegraphed, should be easily blocked by Tribe's captain. When you look at the items in Youngju's camp, there is no Crucible yet.
He's going to finish it up right now. There we go.
One shot, one kill onto Tassa. One chain does land from Max Green. They're going to roll straight in. Trespass is going to get blocked by the Crucible. He only recently just bought a wait for it. Will silence all 3 members, but Max Green pops the Crucible at the perfect time. They're going to go straight back in, but T-Tigers, his ultimate's going to get blocked. A Bangarang in a 3-man circus isn't quite enough to heal him. They find their first kill on the board, actually make that 2 as T-Tigers and Max Green fall, and the gold miner is the next on the menu for Ace.
That was a really, really weird engage from Tribe right there. T-Tigers jumped straight in, and they had so much to kite back from. Creation wasn't getting focused. Let's take a look at the replay.
Ace just so good at kiting back here, and with T-Tigers being on the front line, soaking up so much damage, the Resonance bounces allow Creation to stack up that breaking point. And it's that difference in item build that we see between the 2 Kestrels, where Creation in a team fight like this would have been stacking up a breaking point as well. A sustained fight may have favored the Kestrel, but a 2-item build on Vox, this Poison Shiv and Breaking Point, provides so much power early on.
You saw Poison Shiv shut down Ozo in that last team fight. He had almost no sustain because of those mortal wounds. It is such a massive dent in Ozo's kit, and that's why Poison Shiv has been classically a really good item at shutting Ozo down in general. What I think was the real problem was they put all of their eggs in the Tassa basket in that fight. They dove on the Tassa, and he was able to use that Rose offensive to get out pretty much for free, on point, slowing everyone down, and honestly, Creation was untouched. Creation needs to be that target that you aim to blow up, and Tribe just didn't quite find that right there.
Well, this plays into Tribe's strategy, the way they like to play around Dienzio up in that lane. They send T-Tigers in, they throw him in, Max Green can follow him up, and then Dienzio can sit back, rain those Glimmer shots down with the double monocle build, which he's facing up here. But the problem is, if Ace are able to fight back, which you mentioned a second ago, Dazzy, which is something they're so good at doing, they can then re-engage as soon as T-Tigers has blown all his cooldowns.
And whilst Adagio hasn't really been the premier healing captain for quite some time, he does heal up and he does provide Agent of Wrath for extra damage.
Turret ends up falling though, versus Judgment is going to come down, it's going to get blocked. Max Green could use the Crucible, Bangarang straight in, Fountain to keep both teams alive, but Creation and Tassa managed to find the first kill on T-Tigers. Dienzio's going to fall as well, and Max Green is running for the hills.
This is the problem with this build from Dienzio. You are so static when casting these Glimmer shots that you can get dove so easily. Both Vox and Blackfeather are so good at diving a target, and they have instantly turned on Dienzio when he has shown his face in these team fights.
And what this very peculiar Captain Adagio pick, it's really the first time we've seen it come out in this tournament. It allows for Creation to be able to build double defensive on a Vox. Often, especially over in Europe, we see a very forced build of double Tyrant's Monocle with a Poison Shiv and a Breaking Point, so you can charge down the Kestrel and try and take her out as quickly as possible. When you give that Agent of Wrath over to the Vox, it gives him extra damage coming out. Creation can be a little bit more tankier and withstand the storm.
Interestingly enough, I actually think the Captain Adagio, I kind of see why it's coming into play now. Gift of Fire is a really good way of applying a slow that consistently applies some damage to a target. That slow, and combined with the Agent of Wrath that you can give over to a target, means that you can actually chase down a squishy target that much more easily. You apply the Gift of Fire to Dienzio, you allow Tassa to do the rest of the work. It's very easy to chase down a target when you have that applied.
Right, so want to move into this gold miner. They picked up a couple of infusions here as well. If they can get Creation rolling on these breaking points, they might just be able to turn the fight fairly easily. There's the Water Treads in, they're going to pop it, but it's going to get taken by Dienzio. Versus Judgment comes down, but they've already killed the Ozo. T-Tigers was the target, and they managed to execute him. Max Green, wrong place, wrong time, wrong side of the map, and Tassa will take a double kill.
And I want to talk about how young the Tribe Gaming roster is. They're a team of such star power. Max Green and Dienzio have shown time and time again they can be relied upon to be the flashy, dominant play. But when they're on the back foot, that's when that youngness, that lack of maturity and experience can sometimes get the better of you here. Ace, they're so sure of themselves, and they understand that a game is just a game in a best of 7. It is just that one piece of a massive journey towards winning a world championship. But Tribe, they have not been here yet.
That damage is disgusting. Tassa just dives straight in, but actually gets stunned up by the active camo stun there. One shot, one kill. Youngju just walks into it, no worries. Tassa was ready to bloody block that for you as well. Creation, he's going to have to be fairly careful as Max Green was fishing for a hook, but no catch of the day just yet.
Yeah, T-Tigers now in a position where you haven't snowballed the jungle as hard as you would have wanted to as an Ozo, and Ozo definitely starts to fall off as the game goes on. He doesn't have the same impact that a CP Blackfeather would have in these team fights. Blackfeather's always got the backup of a high damage on point and a percentage health-based execute. Ozo, unfortunately, not quite in that league. He needs to snowball things. Take a look over here. Dienzio sold up the critical strike and head towards a Bonesaw.
Yeah, and he even prioritized early shielding as well. Just sat on that lucky shot for so long and said, actually, Tassa is doing the majority of damage to me. He's getting on top of me when I'm stationary, firing those Glimmer shots, even firing the one-shot, one-kill some of the time. Tassa has got full armor as well now. Tassa in a lot of trouble, in fact. Beautiful stun. There's the Bangarang straight in. Tassa's extremely mobile. Still surviving. Fountain from Youngju to keep him alive. They blew so many cooldowns as well just to try and get the pick, but Blackfella way too mobile for them to actually do anything.
Yeah, it was Tribe desperately trying to execute, but
they can't get anything from it, Dowsy.
This Kestrel can't run towards the box because as soon as she puts herself in the auto-attack range of Creation, that's when Creation's going to be able to withstand the damage. He has that metal jacket. Kraken has just spawned, though. It's very risky for Tribe to go for this. There is a Churnwalker ult coming back up. Perhaps they can make it work if they initiate a fight.
Yeah, no Bangarang though, however. Max Green popping that flask with a little bit of HP regeneration. Young Juice going to go in. Burst Judgment doesn't quite channel and get it, but they do manage to take it anyway. T-Tiger secures it. Creation marching forward, stacking up that breaking point. Already on 10 stacks. He's looking for it. He needs to be able to find something beautiful stun onto him, but TaSa's all alone in the back line. Dienzio and T-Tigers dispatch him. There's the ultimate from the Ozo onto Creation. Now he's all alone. Young Ju can't do much of anything, and T-Tiger secures another kill.
Ace split too wide there. TaSa felt like he could take down Dienzio, but Acro Bounce allows Ozo to jump from place of it.
Very far range. It's a huge range on that Acro Bounce. Unbelievable, Dowsey. I think the point that you're really getting to is that they were trying to go for the 1v1. He thought as a CP Blackfeather he'd take out that Kestrel, but the stealthing from Dienzio baited him in.
Not only that, Max Green's now got the journey boots here. He's looking to get into the range of someone so he can whip his way over to the other side of a team fight if necessary. Ace, they cannot afford to split like that. Their power is when TaSa and Creation are focusing the same target.
Yep.
Due to the fact that Blackfeather applies that feint of heart, the heart from stacks to execute a target, Creation can help with whittling away that health, and with the on-points to burst down, they can really take down Dienzio, who's been the threat this entire game.
Very clever adaptation for that Bonesaw from Dienzio, I have to say. We've got a pause coming out. Got to make sure these players are ready. Looks like Ace might have a problem here. Again, pauses are there for a reason. Need to make sure that this is such an important tournament, such an important game in this tournament. It is the World Finals. If there is a problem, we need to get it sorted.
We've seen Tribe twice in a row here draft a... If we don't get out of the early game strong enough, we might fall behind, and it might be the detriment to the rest of our composition. This Ozo, like you were mentioning before, if he does get to the late game, he's not going to do much of anything, and TaSa is only going to get stronger, and same with Creation on that Vox. And right now, it's a very even game. They only managed to secure one turret as well with that Kraken.
I think Dowsey hit a really, really good point in that last team fight. It's the fact that Ace need to dive together. The whole composition revolves around the ability to jump in with Blackfeather, apply the Gift of Fire while giving the Blackfeather a slight boon in HP as he jumps in, and then use that to slow down the Kestrel. It is a combination dive coming in. The reason that you saw Tribe turn things around after that Kraken fight was that Blackfeather tried to go 1v1 versus Dienzio. He was out of range of a Savior Fountain, and that, like Dowsey said, the Acro Bounce managed to get him in such a long-range engage that they were able to then pinpoint and take out the Blackfeather, which realistically is probably the major threat now in terms of straight-up burst damage going into these fights.
And he's only going to get stronger. He has that Eclipse Prism, I believe, in his inventory, looking to go towards either a Shatter Glass, but more likely the Dragon's Eye for himself, so that as the fight goes on, he's getting more and more threatening with the damage he can output. Allows you to take down that Ozo once you've dealt with the Kestrel.
Yeah, we are still in the brief pause. Looks like Ace are managing to sort themselves out, so it shouldn't be too long until we get back into the game.
We're currently 2-1 in this series right now. Ace on the brink of bringing things back to level pegging. Dienzio was so confident going in. He said, if we win the first game, series ours, boys. Doesn't seem like they're giving it up that easily.
Look at that VIPL trophy there. It's what these guys are playing for, to name themselves the world champion. And back when Vainglory was fighting for that VIPL trophy all that time ago, it was North America that dominated to begin with. But then we saw the rise of East Asia and Phoenix Armada coming on through to take away a world championship, take away that VIPL as well. I know fans from North America would wish it was back in their camp.
Yeah, and there was a Flash X last Worlds as well. It wasn't NA versus EA. It was NA versus Phoenix Armada.
It's just so poetic, isn't it? That once more, it's a single East Asian team that is fighting their way from the group stages here. We lost Detonation and former world championships, Rox Armada, previously Phoenix Armada, in the group stages. But Ace, they have looked to overcome so far, taking down the home crowd's favorite of Impunity in what looked to be a series they struggled in, but were able to out-rotate and macro game their opponents.
And let's not undersell how Tribe got here. This is a team that has always been the bridesmaid, never the bride. Cloud9 have consistently held that bouquet throughout the entire year. And finally, Tribe got their shot at the most important tournament of the year, the legacy tournament of 3v3 Vainglory. And they could potentially seal themselves in history as the second official Vainglory World Champions. Obviously, VIPL counted before, but this is the second official Vainglory Championship, and they could be the champions.
Yeah, and last time Tribe and Cloud9 played on such a big stage was at the Unified Champions over in LA, and Cloud9 took them 3-1. This time Tribe took them 3-1 in the semifinals, landing them where they are right now in the finals against Ace Gaming.
Now, after Immortals, Dienzio's former organization, dropped into the Challenger Series in spring after losing to G2 at the Unified Western Live Championships in London in spring. It was a revamp, a reshuffle, and a new goal. They had to win a World Championship. They said, we're back here. We'll have to see if that goal can come through.
Yeah, we are straight back into the game. Tribe had to do a little resetting there after T-Tigers did end up falling over. That Kraken did only take one turret, mind you.
So we'll look where Dienzio chooses to go. He is going for a fourth offensive item here. Not too worried about that damage coming out from Vox. Maybe a Tornado Trigger. That would be the one that really brings in a basic attack-focused style of gameplay from a Kestrel, which is usually so focused on Glimmer shots.
Be very interesting to see if he does go towards that. It will really decide whether or not Tribe wants to kind of play to what Ace Gaming have been producing so far in this game, the mini-meta of a series. Be more typical that a Monocle would come through. I just have that sneaking suspicion.
Look at that damage. There's the Trespass going to get blocked. War Treads defensively used by Youngju. There's the Versus Judgment. It's going to get blocked as well, but they're going to jump straight on Creation. Oh! Bangarang into the stun. 3-ring circus to pick up the kill. Acro bounce on top of Tassa. Youngju's really low as well. Dienzio's just going to be able to cut him down. This very well could be the ace for Tribe. One shot, one kill goes wide, but it doesn't matter. T-Tigers might just be able to find it. There's the final Acro bounce. He trades one apiece, but Tribe still get the ace.
Look at the difference when Tribe focus down the Vox instead of going for the Black Feather. Much easier target as the turret opening to the base falls, and they are going to look to potentially take the Kraken on respawn. It might be there pretty soon. Let's have a look at this replay.
Creation just got singled out right here. Far too forward in the team fight. Jumps forward onto Max Screen. Great blocks, but it just wasn't enough to be able to survive. And that burst of judgment, we've criticized how easily it is to dodge out. Not only that, it renders Youngju useless throughout a team fight. He's not able to do anything to keep Creation alive. And when Creation is dead, there's no hope for Ace.
He channeled the burst of judgment. He put himself out of Gift of Fire range. He wasn't able to back up a Vox that was so direly in need of trouble, in need of saving rather. And again, like you said, that is just such an easy ability to Crucible. The Kraken has been unleashed for Tribe with just 2 turrets remaining.
Oh, there's the Trespassing. Creation is going to get focused down. There's the Versus Judgment left all alone. Big silence comes out from the Vox, stopping T-Tigers' damage for the time being. But he's still going to go down. Dienzio left completely alone. Will actually just go down anyway as Tassa just cuts him through. A 2-on-2 is T-Tigers marching forward. They're going to focus Youngju. A bang, an Acro bounce straight on top of him. A 3-ring Circus finishes off the kill. Tassa gets yanked back in. And another Acro bounce. The sustain coming out of T-Tigers is way too much for Tassa to deal with. Max Screen ends up falling, however. That Kraken still marching on Ace's base, but T-Tigers finds the ace.
That is what happens with an Ozo when there is no Poison Shiv to deal with him. He's going for the win right now. He's going to push with Kraken.
Another turret down. T-Tigers looking to end the game, but Creation is alive. He needs to be able to kill him. The Mortal Wound will stop the healing for the time being, but he still needs to deal with the Kraken. I don't think there's any way he's going to be able to do it unless Youngju can make it there in time. This could be match point for Tribe. Kraken's just going to knock down the base, but he's so close. Creation, Tassa, Youngju, they're all alive. Kraken needs a couple more hits. Ace Gaming, this is their thread, their lifeline, but Tribe are just going to take it to match point.
That is a hard break for Ace Gaming. It felt like they had figured out Tribe, But it all fell apart so quickly, and Tribe turned it on its head there, focusing down Creation so well with their focus. Young Jews, Burst of Judgment's not really having any impact.
Exactly. It was great to have an Adagio when you're the team doing the diving. As soon as it was Tribe making the engage, as soon as Tribe realized that Vox had to be the immediate focus, it turned these team fights.